Konnichiwa friends, I am Sekai X Arts and Animations, and if you've watched my videos for any substantial amount of time, you'll know that I pretty much exclusively draw girls. Well, that's because I literally cannot draw men. Whenever I try, they either look really weird and uncanny, or they look like women. So today, I'm going to be practicing drawing guys. I mentioned in my last practicing stuff I don't want to video that I hate practicing stuff I'm bad at. This is because I hold myself to a certain standard and feel bad when I don't meet that standard. So when something comes up that doesn't reach my personal goal of perfection, instead of working on that thing until it does reach my standards, I just give up so I never have to look at it again. That is not the best practice, I admit it, but that's what I've been doing for years. But this year and onwards, I've decided to change that, and I'm going to face my problems and try my best to improve. To start off, I'm just going to draw a masculine and feminine body next to each other so I can clearly see the differences. Now, obviously, every person is constructed differently, so these base models aren't going to be true of everyone, and you should definitely experiment with different body types. But this is just like the cartoon, anime, standard body for each gender. In doing this, here are the guys versus girls notes I came up with. In terms of the body, guys have broader shoulders and a thicker neck, while girls will have broader hips. Can you use that word to describe hips? Guys have straighter shoulders. Boys' torsos are shaped more like inverted triangles, whereas girls' bodies tend to be represented as an hourglass shape. Guys will have larger hands and feet, and their arms and legs will usually be more muscular. In general, girls will have softer, rounder edges, whereas guys are more like sharp and angular. In terms of the face, guys usually have longer faces and a flatter chin, while girls have shorter, rounder faces. Guys have thinner eyes, and their pupils are usually just a little bit smaller to compensate for that. They also typically have fewer eyelashes than girls. Boys also have longer, more prominent noses. Again, this is just for like the anime-like cartoonish styles. Obviously, in real life, girls have noses too. The main reason I wanted to do this is because knowing how to draw guys is important. I have a lot of stories I want to become comics or TV shows with a lot of guys in it. In fact, quite a few of these stories has a guy as the main character. So here is my final attempt. I'm basically just drawing Scaramouche from Genshin Impact and combining his Fatui and Wanderer outfits. So here's that. I'm pretty much just using the same principles I just talked about, but it was still so hard for me for some reason. The entire experience can pretty much be summed up in, like literally, why are men so difficult to draw? When I draw them, they either look weird or like girls, and honestly just make me want to bash my head against the wall. Does anyone else have this problem? This is like my third attempt at drawing a guy, and I still don't feel that great about it. On top of that, Scaramouche is not exactly the most macho of men, so I also feel like I picked him maybe as a bit of a cop-out because I was just really sick of trying at this point. I actually feel like that's my problem a lot of the time. I try and never feel satisfied, so I just give up. It's kinda nice just not having to think about it. At least it's nice until I want to draw or design a male character. Then it just sucks. This is why I put myself through all this pain. One day, I'll be on the other side of it, and I'll be able to draw men. Hopefully. It kind of feels like I'm never gonna get there right now. I was also just kind of having a rough time of it in general. I am way better at drawing guys on paper than I am digitally. I thought about showing you all a sketch, but I felt like that wasn't polished enough. I'm actually better at drawing realism on paper too, for those of you who watched part 1. Not really sure why. Procreate also didn't record this at a super high resolution, so sorry about that. In addition, I drew a skin for Child from Genshin as well for this video, but I guess when I made the canvas I didn't tell Procreate to record a time-lapse, so after like 5 hours I realized I had no footage. I also want to note that usually drawings take me about 3 hours almost exactly, but all of these attempts at drawing men took me at least 4. They're just really hard for me and I don't know why. I feel that every artist has a weak spot, and I'm not talking about mediums or styles here, because most people will be weak at a medium or style that they've never tried. What I'm talking about is specific drawing subjects, like architecture, objects, nature, animals, etc. Unfortunately for me, my drawing weakness is men, which is literally like half the population. I can't draw half the population. It's honestly just so frustrating. But if you're one of the people who has trouble drawing a certain aspect, my advice to you is to push through and learn it, no matter how painful the process, especially if you are someone who wants to make movies or comics or shows. You can't show a convincing story if there's never any furniture because you can't draw them. It will be hard, but it's important, and know I am right there with you, struggling to learn as well. Alright, that's enough of that. I did some Genshin Impact redesigns a while ago, which is my most popular video by a lot, but I will say, I actually don't mind Scaramouche's design. Yes, the bowl cut mullet hybrid is bad, but he somehow makes it work. Here, I was just trying to have a little fun meshing my favorite parts of both of his designs. Honestly, I hope he gets a Fatui skin one day, but basically I just kept the Wanderer design and added a veil to the back because I like it. I also added a little Electro-Gnosis necklace. When it came time for coloring, I couldn't decide which palette I wanted to use. They didn't look good meshed together, but if I chose the Wanderer palette, he just looked like Wanderer. But if I chose the Scaramouche palette, he just looked like Scaramouche. I thought about maybe doing a whole new color palette with like purple or something to represent the Raiden Shogun, but ultimately, I just went with the Wanderer blue. In terms of how I think this one is practice, I think it went okay. Again, Scaramouche is not exactly the most masculine character. He's a scrawny emo teenager. But I mean, I do think it looks like Scaramouche, so that's gotta count for something, right? I'll keep working on it. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you all in the next one.